everyone, and welcome back. This is KrazyBatLady, and today I want to show you how to play Diona. I'm going to be showing her best weapons, best artifacts, some team recommendations, and all that good stuff. So let's kick it off by taking a look at her talents. Her first talent being your standard bow attack. Or aimed shot. It's really nothing impressive here. I'm sure there's probably a couple of DPS Dionas out there, but for the majority of players, I recommend not leveling anything into this skill, as it's not very strong, and it's not really why you use Diona, typically. But Icy Paws, this is where she really shines. This is her bread and butter. You hold down her elemental skill, and it'll create a shield based on her max HP. If you can press or hold, but you should pretty much always hold, as it'll fire off 5 Icy Paws as opposed to 2. The reason you want more Icy Paws is because you get more duration on your shield and a stronger shield. So there's never going to be a situation where you want to press, really. And I'll show you here what the duration looks like. Here's from pressing. I'm not taking any damage, and it's already gone. That's not really doing anything. But when I hold, this sucker lasts for quite a long time. And not to mention, you get more elemental particles when you hold, too. It's also a pretty beefy shield. It's not as good as, say, like Zhongli's shield, of course, but here's how the shield is against Child's Whale. See, it didn't completely negate it, but it stopped a lot of the damage. So, really good stuff there. And you can pretty much have 100% uptime on it. So, her signature mist. Now, the signature mix. Well, it's kind of a mist. She throws down a little AoE, and it can regenerate the HP of any characters within it. And it pulses cryo damage, which isn't anything crazy, but it can be really good for proccing up enemies for elemental reactions, especially if you have her C6. Now, this does have an energy cost of 80, but there's many ways to negate that, which I'll talk about later on in the video. With a duration of 12 seconds and a cooldown of 20, you can have this up quite a lot as well. Her first passive talent makes it so that you have a movement speed increase and a stamina consumption decrease whenever you have her shield up. It might not be a huge bonus, but it's definitely noticeable. Here's without the shield, and here is with the shield. So it's not like a huge amount, but it's definitely noticeable. You see the stamina bar didn't go down as much. And then Drunkard's Farce. Enemies who enter the AoE of Signature Mix have 10% decreased attack for 15 seconds. Basically, it just makes you a little tankier if they're in the AoE. And last but not least, the Complementary Bar Fruit. This is essentially the same exact skill that Barbara has. When you cook a healing dish, there's a 12% chance to obtain double that dish. Weapons, weapons, weapons. Let's talk about what her best bows are. My personal favorite is the Sacrificial Bow, because this just has so much utility, and it makes it so you can have your shield up a lot longer, especially if you have this at Refinement 5. It's really good. Favonius Warbow is another great choice, but I personally recommend the Sacrificial Bow just because you can have more uptime on your shield and create more particles overall. However, with the Favonius bow, you get more energy recharge, but you have to hit critical hits to be able to trigger the extra elemental particles. So you have to build some crit on her artifact stats, and those stats could be used for like HP percentage or energy recharge or something like that. So this one's a little bit more tricky. You have to have better artifacts to use the Favonius Warbow, but it is a great choice. But I personally like Sacrificial Bow better just because I like to have the shield up more. Another great choice is Elegy for the End if you have it, because it gives a team-wide buff that is really, really nice, and it's easy for her to proc it. Another bow that you could use is actually a 3-star bow, the recurve bow, because it has an HP percentage substat on it. So that's not too bad. I mean, the like passive skill is pretty useless, but you know, if you want some beefier shields, this isn't a terrible choice, really. Overall, I say sack bow is the best. So for artifacts, well, I wouldn't say she has a great 4-piece set, so you want to run her with 2 pieces, which this is one of the reasons why she's so easy to build, because you don't need like a special 4-piece set. You get like a 4-piece Maiden's Beloved to work maybe, but I'd recommend getting 2-piece Tenacity, 2-piece Emblem, maybe 2-piece Clam or Maidens, but yeah, I would prefer going for the energy recharge and HP, which is what you're going to want on your substats unless, like I said before, you're building her with Favonius Warbow, which I was trying that out a little bit here. If you're using Sackbow or anything else, you're going to want HP percentage. So this one is going to be the better of these 2 flowers, just because of the stats, but again, this is all up to personal preference. On her sands, you're pretty much always going to want to run HP percentage, unless you really lack that energy recharge. Then you could run an energy recharge sands, and that would not be a terrible idea. As for the goblet, HP percentage, pretty standard. There's not really anything else you're going to want to run there except for HP percentage. Same with the circlet. The circlet, you're going to want to run HP percentage as well. So just full HP. She's really easy to build in that regard. You could run healing bonus, but the difference is pretty negligible. Here's with HP circlet. Get almost 5,000 per heal there. So that's pretty good. And here is with the healing bonus circlet. So it's not really that big of a difference. So I would choose the HP just for beefier shields. Anyways, so for teams, she really shines in a freeze team. The first reason being because she grants your team cryo resonance. And cryo resonance gives you an extra 15% crit. And that's always good to have. Also, she's a really good cryo applicator. Both with her shields and her ultimate help keep enemies frozen for longer, or deal with those pesky hydro shields. But of course, there's other teams you can run her on as well. Like, you can pair her with really anyone, honestly. Like, any of your main DPS, like Eula, Yoimiya, whoever you have. Also, she's a good superconduct procer for main DPS Razor or main DPS Official. Those are both great options for that slot. And of course, you know, you could run her in an elemental reaction setup team like this with her C6, because she gives a lot of elemental mastery, and Sucrose does as well, so that can be a pretty fine setup. Like I said, you can run her with the inner one, really. And again, with the C6, Xiangling is a really good teammate for her, because with her C6, she can snapshot her buff. Now, I've mentioned her Constellation 6 a lot throughout this video, so let's go and take a look at her constellations. Her first constellation regenerates 15 energy after the effects of Signature Mix end. This really helps get her ult back, so pretty solid C1. Her Constellation 2 is definitely one of her best constellations. It's the only shield in the game that you can use in co-op and give other people shields, as for now, as of this video. It also increases Icy Paw's damage by 15% and shield damage absorption by 15%. So the shields aren't going to be as strong as yours on your teammates, but it's still something, and it's very helpful to have. Really solid C2. Constellation 3, Signature Mix goes up by 3, which is her heals, which is fine. Now her 4 is kind of a weird one. It's not really going to help you, except for maybe in some niche situation. It decreases the charge time for aim shots while she's in the radius of her ult. So, kind of weird. 5 increases her shield. Pretty good. And her Constellation 6. Now, this is a really nice thing to have. When anyone who's in it is HP is below 50, the healing bonus is increased by 30%. But what's better is if their HP is above 50%, they'll get an elemental mastery increase of 200. And this does snapshot. So if you use Shungling or Official or whoever inside of this, inside of Signature Mix, it'll snapshot the elemental mastery buff and carry over. So that's really, really nice to have. Alright, so I always like to do a quick recap of builds at the end of my how-to videos. Diona's best artifacts are going to be a 2-piece combo of Emblem of Severed Fate, Tenacity of the Millelith. You could also use Maiden's Beloved or Ocean-Hued Clam. Her best weapons, hands down, are the Sacrificial Bow, the Favonius War Bow, Elegy for the End, or the Recurve Bow. Pretty simple. She's very easy to build, very cheap to build. You don't need the best artifacts for her to perform incredibly well and have a nice shield and heal and give you so much cryo application. So really highly recommend building her if you haven't, just because she's a really cheap support and really nice to have on your teams. I hope that you found this video helpful. Please consider leaving a like and subscribe, as I'd appreciate it a ton. I'm going to be doing a ton of content for Sumeru when it comes out, so look out for that. Have a wonderful day. Bye.